Yes, Cap, yes, I seen this and I cannot tell you how happy I was. So this reminds me of something that I talk about. So a lot of times I'll see people who will comment and say, "Well, things are going good in my life right now. This is not for me." To those messages I say, "That's good. Enjoy your life. Be happy that things are good right now. This may be for somebody who really needs some guidance." But when I see things like this, it is a huge indicator that those of you who have been dealing with a lot of difficulty and have been struggling a lot, things are about to open up in a way that you are not expecting. But everything is becoming like really good and really amazing for some of you. But I think that this is very specifically for the Capricorns that have been putting something off, especially creatively. And I want to say to you, get your ass back to work. Get on it, right? So the cosmos, creativity and vastness. Now, just so you guys know, there isn't a challenge with this card, but it did show up in the upright for you. So this is talking about how this is a sign that you need to place your attention back onto creative projects. It's saying that it will be successful now. The other thing that it talks about is that you need to be mindful of your thoughts and your actions because both are influencing your outer world right now. But I really think that this is pinpointing the Capricorns that have been putting something off. And it could be something big, and it could just be something that creatively, could put you in a much better place. But for those of you who have been putting off creative ideas or have not felt like it was going to go anywhere, I think that the universe is going to be giving you a helping hand. Because when you look at blessed, you're talking about unexpected, unforeseen blessings coming to you. Some of you may feel like they are unearned, though. But this is really going to be about the word deserving, right? So a lot of times we look at that and we think, okay, well, I don't deserve this. This is saying that I don't care if you think you deserve it or not, you're still getting this blessing, okay? So this is really good, really, really good. But like I said, I think for a lot of you, this is going to be about creative projects that have been put to the side because you didn't think it was going to go anywhere. Well, guess what? You're getting a helping hand here and get back to work, right? Because it may be something that people need, right? But besides that, though, we're looking at all of these blessings that are coming to you now in order for you to open up to, the vastness of your life and what you are able to create, so it's good. It's beautiful. Now, from Moonology, you pulled the full moon in Aries. A fiery climax approaches. It says, be nice, be kind, smile, and be polite as you navigate to where you want to be. Being assertive is good. If you are in a tense situation, meditate your way to peace. And then it says, don't be a baby. Sorry, but this could be the issue. And then it says you need to have more fun. You need to have more fun. But I also look at that and think if things are coming to an end here, you hit that climax and then eventually we're talking about an ending. Get back to work, right? Like I say that and I feel bad saying that considering that we're talking to Capricorn, but I feel like some of you are about to create something really big. And that's the only reason why I'm saying go get it. Go on now. All right, here's your overall, the Knight of Swords. Okay, and it's Jon Snow. So with the Knight of Swords, this is swift action, yes, but we're also talking about communication and truth. And a truth that may be being delivered in a harsh way. And then I kind of go back to this whole you need to be nice type of thing, right? But I feel a sense of conviction when I look at this, that I am resting now. I have said my piece. I have taken the action that I needed to, and I feel right in what I have done. The other thing that I say with the Knight of Swords, right, he doesn't give a shit about a response. So it could be that for a lot of you, it's, let me give you the truth, and I don't really care what you have to say in return. I just need you to listen. But I think that some of you may feel really good about the action that you are taking. but are you taking it? With this being the overall, it may be suggesting that it's time to get up now. It's time for you to start, voicing yourself, your opinion, your truth, but we'll see here. Okay. And this is kind of, what I'm talking about here, where I think that for a lot of you, if you've been in a very difficult situation, things are definitely getting better. The Five of Pentacles is the past. We could be talking about, financial struggles. We could be talking about you feeling like you're on the outside looking in on a situation, right? Not being in the know, but then also feeling empty-handed, like there is nothing left that you can give. But this is the past now. And if we're talking about information, with the Knight of Swords being the overall, I think that for some of you, if you've been in a situation where people are like pushing you out, this would be you giving them a piece of your mind. And it is harsh, it is abrasive, but it may be what you need to do in order to feel like, things are being corrected, so to speak. Because I still feel that sense of conviction, Oh yeah, I'm telling you. Justice. Now, for those of you who may be dealing with, court situations, things like that because of justice, I think that, it certainly is going to have to do with something that has been like taken from you, or, somebody who is not giving the assistance that they should be. And I think that, truth is ultimately going to win out here for sure. And it may not be something that somebody wants to hear, but I think that for you, things are going in the right direction. Now, definitely somebody may have to make amends for what they have taken from you, because I see you empty in the past. But I also see you as the Knight of Swords. I don't think that this is about somebody else. I think that this is the action that you ultimately take to get fairness and balance, right? But we'll see here. And then the Knight of Pentacles. So swift action in terms of communication when it comes to correcting a situation where you have either been left out or had something taken from you or have been depleted. But then when you look at the Knight of Pentacles, things get back on track, albeit slow. We're talking about methodical movement forward. I don't think that any of you acted in haste and didn't think about, what you were doing here, or not having all of the information before you said anything. I don't think that that's it, because it opens up, the communication opens up this fairness and balance is what I'm trying to say. But with the Knight of Pentacles, I think that, this is going to be good news for you, for something to, again, get back on track, right? But I like it. But I also see that as, somebody who is being very stubborn, because we're not going to hide from the truth anymore, or somebody cannot hide from the truth anymore. Your best path to follow, the Four of Swords. Okay, so the first thing that I got from this is say your piece and leave it alone. After you have, moved forward in such a way where you are very clear and concise with what you are trying to say, we don't need to fight. You don't need to, continue to try to defend yourself or defend the truth, if that makes sense. I look at the Four of Swords and I think, okay, so now you need to give yourself a rest. You have to give yourself a break here. And you also need to, not get engaged in anything anymore in terms of conversations. And it's not that, you're going silent or that you're waiting for somebody to communicate. I really think that it's you need peace now, after there has been this resolution, because I feel like that's what justice is saying. In your environment, the Queen of Swords. Yeah, and that doesn't surprise me, especially if you're coming into this as a Five of Pentacles. I mean, look at the way that it comes down. You're being very truthful, but you're also sending a message out in a very direct way. It may be a little bit harsh, it may be a little bit blunt, but the thing is where you have been put was not in a good place. Especially if you felt like you've had money taken from you, or you have given so much to a situation and you were left empty-handed. Well, if they're not going to correct it, you will. Even if that means starting court proceedings, especially directed around money. But the Knight of Pentacles I see as good news, good movement forward. I see that as a good thing. I don't think that you're going to be like waiting or that a situation is going to be put on hold. But now it is time for you to hold the peace. You know, especially if you're getting that fairness and balance. But with the Queen of Swords, I look at that and think that you've been put through a lot, right? You're talking about somebody who is acting in a very cold and defensive way because she's been put through a lot of pain. But it's also, I'm not playing games. All I want is the truth and nothing but the truth. And that's it. And I also think that you're being very stern in the fact that somebody needs to be held accountable for their actions. Because again, I go back to the Five of Pentacles, and that is you coming through in this situation and how things were in the past. Your hopes and your fears, judgment, look at it, right? And that, I think, is you hoping that, you know, the truth is seen. I mean, big time with the Knight of Swords, Queen of Swords, Justice, making sure that the right assessment is being made or the right judgment is being made here. And I think for you, the hope is that after this, that this can be finally laid to rest, right? Because the whole point of judgment is, yeah, we need to review something, but we need to review it in a truthful way, absolutely. But it's all in order for, you know, us to put it to a close so that you can move forward. The past is the past. It is what it is. I want a fair judgment here. But I also want to be able to move on from this. You know, especially if you're coming from a place of, I've been hurt. You know, but I really think that your advice here is saying that, you know, once you have peace, stay in a place of maintaining peace. You know, and give yourself a break after all of this. And then coming out the Chariot. Getting things back on track, absolutely. For some of you, it's going to be once this judgment comes through or once we have this fairness and balance, you're going to be able to move. Some of you will be able to follow through on some plans that you have been working on long-term with the Knight of Pentacles. But I don't think, you know, it definitely is a contradiction between the two. But I think that, you know, once things get back on track and if you are able to maintain peace, it's going to be easier for you to pick up the momentum here in future conditions. And then you had the Ten of Cups, so you're leading to a place of overall happiness after heartbreak. And that's kind of how I feel about that. So I think that for a lot of you, especially if we're talking about, you know, and for some of you, yeah, it could be about divorce, right? And some of you could be fighting over money or what has been lost, you know, and then wanting the truth to come out. And it could be about, you know, third-party situations, absolutely. But straight up, the Three of Swords, being heartbroken, definitely for some of you dealing with a separation or a divorce, possibly just a breakup. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be something that is going to court, but for some of you, yeah, it absolutely can be. But looking at that connected to the Five of Pentacles, it's left you in a place where you feel like you've had too much taken from you. And that is where, you know, the heartbreak is coming through. And then you have the Three of Pentacles, and this is why I'm talking about, you know, third party shit like that. But what's interesting to me here is with the Three of Pentacles, I think that there may be a part of you that will consider at least wanting to work with someone to get a situation corrected. But that's only if they hold themselves accountable and try to make amends for where things were wrong or whatever pain they may have caused you. We can correct this. I'm willing to work on it with you. But I'm not playing games though either. You really hurt me. I mean, straight up. Especially with that Queen of Swords being there. And then you have the Ten of Cups. And it could be one of those situations for some of you where in order to keep the peace within the family, it may be that maybe, my God, if I could talk right and I could just spit it out. It could be that you need separation, that you need to take a time out from someone in particular who caused you this type of pain, in order to be able to work with them to get back to a place where we have this overall happiness. You know, this could be a family situation. It could be about a partner and you may have children, things like that, right? With the Ten of Cups. But again, we're talking about overall happiness. Now, some of you, though, may actually have to pick up and move in order for things to work out within a relationship, a family situation, in order to keep happiness, to keep the peace. And that's kind of how I feel about that. But, you know, I look back at the Knight of Pentacles and think slowly we're getting there. But we have to stay very methodical in how we are moving forward. You may be laying down the sword after giving somebody a piece of your mind, but things need to stay on track if we're going to get back to this overall happiness with the Ten of Cups. But I'm telling you, man, somebody did you wrong. Somebody did you wrong, and they are going to have to make amends for it big time. Now, if that is not happening with judgment, it may be that the judgment call that you're going to have to make is, I need to move on from this permanently in order for there to be peace and happiness again. And then play. Communication is going to lead you into a place where you feel more centered, you feel more grounded. When you look at the root chakra, we're talking about what is grounding you. And then you look at play, and we're talking about you being able to enjoy your life, right? You need moments where you get to have fun. But there needs to be communication first. You know, I think that for a lot of you, you want to work on a situation. I think that you want to work on things, and it may be for the benefit of a family unit with that Ten of Cups. But you need to make sure that things are, you know, grounded, right? I think that you want to get back to a place where things are happy and where you get to enjoy things, especially with that Ten of Cups coming out. And then appreciate this moment. Each and every situation has an opportunity to grow and find love. And I think that that's what's happening, right? Appreciating the moments that lead you to that overall happiness. You know, maybe this is a situation that is calling for you to have compassion for somebody who may have been an idiot, you know, and say, okay, I'm willing to work with you. If you are holding yourself accountable, I don't see you wanting to like give up. Now, this could be, you know, a relationship. It could be like a family situation, like I was saying. But, you know, whatever it is here, I think that it may be hard for you to have compassion, especially if you were the one that was wronged. But be nice, right? Be nice. And there is an opportunity for growth, for sure, and to get back to a place of love.